And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. On today's episode, we're going to do something a little different. This is going to be the first time on my channel's history I'm ever going to do a reaction video. And I'm actually going to do a reaction video from a top 10 best sort of video. And now, if you guys are not new to this channel, you know how I feel about top 10 videos. I'm always pretty hit or miss on this kind of stuff. So I think you guys are going to find this pretty interesting. So in today's video, it's actually an older video. And I'm just going to share my screen right now. And for everybody watching this after the fact, it is going to be after the fact. So let's see, share screen. Share. Okay. So this is going to be different. And this is a video and it's top 10 best Pokemon cards of 2020. Now, I had to go find an older video because, as you guys know, anytime you make a video right now in the real time today, it's very easy to just defend that information and not really have any way to combat against it. So the only way to say, are a lot of these top 10 videos dangerous, is to let time play out. So in today's video, we're going to watch a top 10 video. And I will tell you right now, the content is very cringeworthy. And so this was made by Pokenav, and I don't have anything to say about Pokenav as a person. One of the reasons I chose him is because he's not really in the YouTube content creator sphere anymore. So I don't feel as bad if potentially like this video could hurt his feelings or anything. But I will tell you right now, this video has 30,893 views. That is like double any video I have. So there's definitely like a lot of people that this video reached out to, and a lot of people might have took some of the advice in this video. So with that said, we're just going to hit play and you guys are in for a treat. So let me know down in the chat if the volume for the YouTube video is fine.
Nation, and welcome back to another video.
So,
today
I will give Pokenav credit. He had a nice beard. Him, Pokerev, they have the beard game on point. Pokerev, his eyebrow game, A+. Cannot beat it.
So today I'm going to break down the cards that I'm investing in personally.
So he's breaking down the cards he's invested in.
And guys, if you like these videos,
and let me know if you could hear the YouTube video.
Card investing, then do me a favor and show your support by giving me that double slap attack. One for that like button, one for that subscribe button, and if you want to be notified each and every time a new video drops, go ahead and
so this is going to be fun.
That notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Starting things off on our list, we are taking it all the way back to the original Sword and Shield base set, and this is probably a couple cards that you guys had forgotten. And at number 10 is the full art gold Zacian and Zamazenta V.
Right.
As I said, these both come to us from the Sword and Shield base set.
And so the first cards he did are these gold cards from Sword and Shield base.
As things stand currently out on the open market, they're going for about $200.
So the price right now he quotes for these cards, and you can see it at the bottom of the screen here, $220. That's what they were selling for PSA 10 prices. And keep in mind, he is doing best investments, and he talks about investing a lot in this video. So at the time recording this video, this card in a PSA 10 was $220. Let's look at the most recent eBay sales for this card. The most recent sales as of like the time recording this video, you can see two of them were sold in a day. So you got about $71, $55, $7 shipping. So let's call it $60, $65. So this card from his video, where he quoted it at $220 as one of the better investments, and we are now seeing the price of like $71. And guys, I wish I can say that this video gets better,
but I really like
it doesn't.
Cards, Zacian and Zamazenta were really the
it's just
really the mascots for
it's one of those things.
And going back to the original base set for Sword and Shield, these cards were really sought after, and they're beautiful in and of their own right.
And he's right, they are beautiful cards.
Aesthetic, I think, is really pleasing to the eye. And so I think these cards actually have a lot of long-term value, something that collectors, I think, will look back on fondly and will want in their collection.
I agree with him on that. I do believe collectors will look fondly back on those cards, and they will want them in their collection. But to say they have long-term value is very dangerous, especially when you quoted that card as being a top 10 at number 10 at $220 at the time of recording this video in a PSA 10. And you see what happened to the price. It went from $220 to 71 in a PSA 10 for the most recent sale. This is the kind of stuff that I tell you guys, you got to be very worried about. And at the end of this video, if you stick around, we're going to read some of the comments together. And the comments for this video are crazy because all the comments are super positive and people agree with him on almost everything he says.
So coming in at number 10, as I said, is the full art gold Zacian and Zamazenta V. Next up on our list, we are taking it to the most recent set to release in English, and that is Vivid Voltage.
I love that Vivid Voltage is the most recent set in this video.
Rare Celebi. Now, with the release of the newest Pokemon movie featuring Zarude, I believe that Celebi is probably going to have a resurgence in popularity in years to come.
People love Celebi. I will give them that.
Of amazing rare cards in the English expansion.
Best Celebi is the Crystal from Skyridge. You heard it here first.
Vivid Voltage was the first set to feature that. Now, of all the amazing rares, arguably Celebi is at the top of the list as far as popularity.
I will agree with that. Celebi is in the top of the amazing rares, but the amazing rares from Vivid Voltage were great. Had Celebi, had the Quaza, and then I had the Jirachi. So I would put those three as definitely the top three. So he is right about that.
Value goes, and out on the open market, this card in a PSA 10 is currently going for around 200.
He just quoted what this card is currently selling for at this market. $200 in a PSA 10. What is the Celebi currently selling for? Well, let's go to eBay. Most recent sales in a PSA 10 for a Celebi is $56.04. This one, $35 for $5 shipping. So let's call it $40. So that card went from his quoted $199 to like 40 bucks. If you bought this card at the time of recording this video, you would have lost a lot of money. But this is the thing. In context of the time he made this video, everybody was agreeing with him. But these are the kind of things that I'm trying to say when I say be very nervous about top 10 videos. And everybody always kind of goes against me and is like, people should be able to make top 5, top 10 videos. Like there's no harm in it. Listen, 30,893 people watch this video. It would only take one person to take some of the advice in this video and lose so much money.
And over the long term, as I've said before, I think a set that introduces a particular type of card, I think that will be something that is a hallmark for that set.
It will be a hallmark, and I agree with them.
And that combined with the fact that you've got the new movie coming out, I think Celebi is going to grow in popularity, and I think this card will follow suit.
Follow suit, guys. You heard it.
Celebi, and continuing in the same vein of the amazing rare cards, at our number 8 spot is none other than the amazing rare Rayquaza.
So you see what he did here? He doubled down on the amazing rares from Vivid Voltage. So not only did he say the Celebi was going to be number 9 as his top 10, he's now double downing with another one with the Rayquaza. And this is the crazy thing. At the time, everyone thought that Modern was just going to stonk out and do this crazy stuff. And I will admit, I love the amazing rares in Vivid Voltage because I will admit that when you open up a Vivid Voltage pack, the same thing as Cosmic Eclipse or the same thing right now today with Brilliant Stars. Anytime you get a green code card, or now it's, the black and white code cards, but anytime you get a green code card and still have the chance for a hit, it is a way more fun experience. But the fun experience is so drastically different than the investability of that experience.
And again, this also comes to us from Vivid Voltage. This card on the open market is currently going for about $250 in a PSA 10.
$250 currently at the time of recording this video for Rayquaza, amazing rare from Vivid Voltage. What do you think that card is doing right now? Let me know down in the chat. Got any guesses? $48 with $5 shipping. These are just recent sales of today. $54.99. Somebody bought it as a buy it now. The price he thought it was a good buy at was $260. Look at that. Card went from $260 all the way down to $55. That means if somebody bought that card, they would have potentially lost $205 if they watched this video.
Again, of all the amazing
crazy
rare cards, it does appear that the Rayquaza and the Celebi are the most popular. You could probably include the Amazing Rare Jirachi in there as well.
Oh, see, he said the Jirachi.
Popular cards, but just from a value standpoint, Jirachi really isn't making the same cut as Rayquaza and Celebi. So I would include Rayquaza in here.
Oh my God!
On our list again, I love the
Amazing Rare cards.
I love
this is a long video.
Set a precedence for Pokemon cards for future sets, and I think that the Rayquaza, all the cards that have been in this initial release for Amazing Rares, I think it does top the list as far as popularity and value, and it will probably continue to do that as we move on into the coming years.
He said, maybe he just used the word probably there. He said it will probably continue into the coming years. Well, time has already proved that to not be true. So it's just important to keep in mind that he used the word probably. So I will give him that. It wasn't a definitely, it was a probably. Even though at that time, most people would have said that definitely would not happen.
The next card on our list is one that you guys probably aren't that familiar with. And technically, it wasn't released in 2020. It was actually released in very late 2019. But I went ahead and included it on this list anyways, because it coincides with the release of the Sword and Shield base set. And that is the full art Pikachu.
I actually don't hate this card.
Is a promo card that you got if you pre-ordered the Sword and Shield base set.
So he's talking about the Japanese version right here when you pre-ordered the Sword and Shield base set in Japan. Now, I like it from what we saw in English, and it was in the Sword and Shield figure collection. It was a very nice card. I actually made a video talking about this card a long time ago when the boxes were selling for like $30 to $40. So it was still pretty low. And I was warning people, I'm like, guys, this card might be just worth it to pick up the box and you get the packs for free. And that was at like $30 for that figure collection box. So that's a huge caveat where I said I like that box at $30. Wait till you hear the price. And again, that's the English version, but trust me, it's not
fun. The artwork
fun.
on this card is really beautiful, very unique. You guys know that I'm a big fan of promo cards. Now there is both the Japanese and English version out there. The Japanese card is the one that I'm really focusing on for long-term investment value.
Do you hear what he just said? The words he just used was the Japanese card is the one he's focusing on for long-term investment value. I want you to remember that wording. Long-term investment value. Those are his words, not mine. And let's see if it paid out for him.
And I think that it is definitely showing out on the open market. Currently, this card is going for about $300.
So currently going for $305. What are current sales of that card? $289.50 with $20. Oh, March 31st, $207 with $20 shipping. So let's call it $230. So it went from $305 to $230 because I added the shipping. And the saddest part is for his video, that is actually not a bad loss. But if you're going to invest in something for long-term potential, is what he said, you should not be looking at these cards at the height and when these cards are going to have the most craziest price points. And 2020 proved that for so much of Pokemon. So that's why when new videos get produced today and people are just talking about everything as being super investability, well, guess what? It's going to take a little time for some of the videos being made today for those to really work their way out. So it's just something to keep in your mind. Lost about $70 on this card for the long-term investability.
This one, which was really the introduction to the Sword and Shield era. I think this card has a lot of potential moving on into the future, and one that I can see in a lot of collections 5 to 10 years down the line. So as we continue on down the list of the top 10 best Pokemon cards to invest in for 2020, little spoiler alert, it is going to be very Charizard heavy from here.
Spoiler alert, Charizards, who would have thought?
On out. But in a year that we saw the release of so many Charizard cards, what more can you do? This has really been the gold standard of Pokemon from the very beginning, any Charizard cards, and in a year that we saw so many of them released in various sets, it's only natural that these cards would have the most value for cards being released in this year. But coming in at our number 6
all right,
spot,
do you hear what he said? It only makes sense for those cards to be the most valuable. And don't get me wrong, Charizard cards historically are always been valuable. You could go back to a lot of sets, but this is very, very narrow-minded thinking. And when people talk about Charizards as being investable, a lot of times, not all the time, because like I said, Charizards historically have been investable. But when I hear people talk about Charizard, they're always being investable. I always think of people that don't understand the hobby to a crazy, amazing degree. Now, I'm not saying that's what Pokénav is doing, that he didn't understand the hobby, because I don't want to like throw tons of shade at somebody who's not really in the hobby anymore. But to just say like Charizard's cards always stonk out is not true. And especially when you're talking about stuff that is so heavily printed. And when you talk about one of the most printed, most abundant, most graded cards in the entire hobby, this Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze is like the definition of that.
Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze. Now, Darkness Ablaze as an overall set, I thought was pretty abysmal for the most part.
I agree with that.
To satisfy ourselves with this Charizard card in there, but really outside of that, Darkness Ablaze wasn't an overall great set, and I think that's why you're seeing the value of this particular Charizard take a hit on the overall market. Currently, it's going.
The reason that card's taken a hit, because yeah, Darkness Ablaze wasn't a great overall set, but it didn't have any real true chase cards. That VMAX is just that. It's a VMAX. It's not like a secret rare or hyper rare or anything like that. It's just a regular VMAX.
About $300 in APM.
So he thinks it's, so this made his list at number 5, at $290 for a PSA 10. What do you think that card's selling for today in a PSA 10? Let's check it out. $152 with $5 shipping. So let's just call it $157. So actually, that's pretty good. You only lost about 50% of your money if you went off this video. So I guess when you look at some of these older investment videos, to only have lost 50% of your money, like maybe that's the world we live in.
For a Charizard, seems pretty low even for an ultra modern card.
Did you hear what he just said? $280 sounds pretty low for a Charizard, even for an ultra modern card. No, it does not sound low. In fact, if you asked anybody in the time who was really in the hobby, they would have used the exact opposite words. They would not have said that card feels really low. What I think people would have said was that card feels very, very, very expensive for what that card is. I think you would have been harder pressed to find people that really knew the hobby back then that would have used the words he just used, that that card was undervalued because it was a Charizard. Even though it's a modern card, no one would have said that. But the problem was so many people were. But the people who were really in the know, who were giving the words of caution, like a Jake from Pokenomics, these were the cards people were saying be very careful about. But the fact that he just thought that that card feels low is crazy.
Still seems pretty low for a Charizard, and I think it really has to do with the overall set itself and the fact that it just really wasn't that popular for most people. But even with that being said, I think long-term value for this Charizard card, I think it will hold a strong value as we go on into the future.
Well, he was wrong there because that card did not hold a strong value. But you can make the argument. I've made the argument in a video in the past. $150 for that card, which what it's currently selling for in a PSA 10, I would actually make the argument that that card at that price is holding strong. Even though it's probably not the holding strong Pokénav meant when he quoted the 280, but at 150, I'm actually surprised at how strong this card is holding with the amount that is actually graded in PSA 10. So he was right, but probably not what he meant by that.
The pull rates on it weren't that great. They weren't in the same category as many other Charizards that we saw in later sets. So I think that definitely bodes.
Pull rates is very subjective when you're talking about ultra modern product that there's just an absolute ton of it out there. Pull rates are very subjective. I would say that the pull rates for that VMAX was much easier than a lot of like some of the more ultra modern stuff we're seeing recently because of set sizes. I think that's the difference, is set sizes are bigger. So while pull rates are the same, it's just harder to pull the cards you want because sets are bigger.
Well, for it, moving on into the future. So full art Charizard, the first Charizard to make our list, coming in at number 6.
Oh, number 6.
We reached the halfway point on this top 10 list. Coming in at number
Somebody cue John Bon Jovi. We're halfway there.
5, we have the full art shiny Charizard VMAX from Shiny Star V. Now, you guys might be surprised to see this card in the middle of this list and not near the top, considering its value as they stand currently on the open market.
I don't even know what to say.
It's going for about in a PSA.
All right. So he thinks that this card makes the number 5 on the list because it's only selling for $1,179.11. What is that card currently selling for today? That card, most recent sales in a PSA 10, $315 at auction, $325 with $5 shipping for a best offer. So let's just give him the higher end. We'll give him the 330. So if you took his advice and thought this card was a good investment at $1,179.11, well, you only lost about $800. Do you know how many cards you can buy in this hobby for $800? Or how much product you can buy in this hobby for $800? That is so much money to lose on a card. And for the fact that he thought that this card was number 5 on the list is, again, the things I mean when I say be very cautious of top 10 videos.
And which is one of the more expensive cards.
But I do want to hear his rationality too. So we'll hear him out
on this list. But as you know, next year, for March's set, we are getting the same Charizard in Shining Fates. And what we've seen before with cards of this nature, where it's released in its Japanese version and then in its English equivalent, it does take quite a bit of a hit in its Japanese.
So he already knew it was coming out in Shining Fates, which Shining Fates wasn't released at the time of this video. People only knew a little bit. So he mentioned that card prices were going to go down a little bit. So it is curious that if he thought prices would drop a little bit, why he'd make that number 5. But let's hear how far he thought the prices were going to drop. If he thought it was going to drop to $300.
And I think that's probably what we're going to see with this particular card as well. I would imagine once Shining Fates is released, this card will probably settle in at about a $500 to $600 price point.
Wow. So he thought it was going to settle at a 50% loss of what he quoted. So he quoted that card at a $1,100. He thought it was going to settle at $500 to $600. He only missed the mark by about $300.
But even being said, I still think that this card over the long term will hold a strong value. But because of the...
What kind of advice is that? But even in the long term, it's going to hold good value. So you think that card's going to lose 50% of its value? I don't understand this video anymore.
Same card coming out next year in its English equivalent. I don't really think that it deserves being higher on the list, but nonetheless, still a beautiful card, and I still think that it's one you guys should definitely be looking at to invest in for 2020.
But then he goes back and at the end says, but it's definitely a card you should be invested in for 2020. Where is the thought process here? The thought process is it's good buy at $1,100. But then we're going to have a reprint of this card in English. So he sees it settling between $600 and $500, but he still thinks it's a good investment. What is going on? This is the world we live in. None of this makes sense.
And continuing with the Charizard train, coming in at number 4 on our list is the hyper rare Charizard VMAX from Champions.
Oh,
now, this
God.
particular card, it was really rare to see not 1 but 2 Charizards released in the same set, especially one that was as small as Champions Path. That being said, however, the pull rates on this card were pretty high for the most.
This is hurting my soul right now. I think a piece of me is dying inside.
There were quite a few people pulling this particular card. On the open market, it's currently going for about $750 in.
Champions Path Charizard, $750. What is that card currently selling for? $435 with $5 shipping. $480 with the best, but the best offer was accepted. $460 with, so we'll call it $465. Actually, he didn't lose that much money on this card. He only went from about $750 down to $460. Is that bad that we're happy that it only lost like $200+ in value? I wish I tallied up all these. Like if you bought it at his prices versus what they are now today.
And it has dropped pretty significantly in value from its initial release on the open market to now. Initially, it was going for about $1,500, and now it's dropped down to $750. So it's almost dropped by half. But that being said, I think over the long term, this is a really beautiful card, one of the best Charizard cards we saw this year. And so I think that being said, over the long term, I think this card will hold a pretty strong value. But unfortunately, because of those high pull rates, it doesn't quite make the lift.
So he saw the card drop from 15 to 750. I will give him credit. He tried to catch the falling sword. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. He tried to catch the falling sword, but that sword was still falling.
Our top 3 cards of 2020. All right, guys, we have made it to the top 3 cards.
Finally.
I am personally investing in from 2020.
Did you hear what he just said? We made it to the top 3 cards that he is invested in 2020. So that means he is actively investing in these cards, and he is no longer in the hobby. I wonder if this had anything to do with it. There's a good chance.
And the close cousin to the hyper rare Charizard VMAX, we have coming in at number 3, the shiny Charizard V, also from Champion's Path. Now, as I said, it was really rare to see 2 Charizards in the same set, especially this particular card that was released in North America prior to being released in Japan. It was a really rare occurrence and something that we don't see very often. Now, out on the open market, this card trumps the hyper rare Charizard VMAX just slightly in its overall value. Currently, it's going for about $800 in a PSA.
$800 for this card in PSA 10 at the time of recording this video. And keep in mind, this is his top 3, number 3 top investments of 2020. I wonder where that card is sitting at today. Last sold $335, $5 shipping. $330, $5 shipping. Oh wow, somebody spent $400. They must. Oh, it was a buy it now. They didn't want to wait for an auction with like this auction that had one single bid on it. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt, and I will call this a $400 card, even though both of these sales on the same day were for $70 less. We'll call it a $400 card to make math easier. So he only lost 50% on this card from 800 to 400. Keeping in mind, looking at 2020 and everything that was out there, this was a top 3 investment.
And you know, overall, guys, this is a really nice card. It's a beautiful card, cool artwork.
It
shiny
is.
Cards are always a fan favorite, and one that I think
It is a nice card.
Back on fondly. Over the next 1 to 5 years, I could definitely see this card getting more up along the lines of that 1,500 to
1 to 5 years, he just said. 15. I'm sorry, I cut it off. Let's hear.
$2,000 range.
$1,500 to $2,000 range in the 1 to 5 year. So he thought that card was going to go from 800 to 1,500 to 2,000. So that would be a 2x return on his money. Instead, that card went to 400 or 330. It didn't really go in the right direction that he was hoping. If you're thinking that $800 card is going to go to 1,500 to 2,000, and it goes down to 4. It was definitely, I don't know what to say anymore. If you guys are not new to this channel, usually I'm pretty good at talking, and I like to talk, and I enjoy talking Pokemon, but I am at a loss for words right now. I'm sorry to everybody out there.
And 10 plus years into the future, I could see that being in the same kind of category as maybe a Plasma Storm Charizard.
He just said he thinks that card's going to be in the same category as the Plasma Storm Charizard. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This was what people were watching. This is what people were watching. This video has 1,000 likes on it. 1,000. He just compared that Charizard to a Plasma Storm Charizard.
Upwards of around that $5,000 to $10,000 range.
$5,000 to $10,000 range.
Around that 10-year time horizon. So here we are, guys, coming in at number 2 on our list, the runner-up of the second best Pokemon card to invest in from 2020. And it's not a Charizard. It is none other than the hyper rare Pikachu.
Of course it is.
Voltage. Now, you may be surprised to see this card.
I'm not surprised.
On the list, but for one, and in my opinion, this particular card is a harkening back to Pokemon's original mascot. This was probably the most hyped Pikachu card that I've seen in quite some time, and Pokemon really did a great job.
I'm dying inside.
Awesome artwork for this card, and also for the rarity of this card and its pull rate. It was about a 1 in 1,000 pull rate, which is really difficult.
I don't know if that pull rate's true or not, 1 in 1,000. But it doesn't matter. 1 in 1,000, when how many packs were open of Vivid Voltage, is meaningless at that point. 1 in 1,000 really means nothing. That might as just well be.
And I can certainly attest to this. I've opened up a lot of booster boxes, ETBs, pin collections, and I have yet to come across this particular card. And so I think that will lend to its long-term value as we go on.
Long-term value, because he didn't pull it.
$900 in a PSA 10.
$890 in a PSA 10. What is that card currently selling for today? $600. Somebody bid on it. $500 best offer. $510. $600. So that card only lost about $200 in value. So let's see what the pop is for that. So Vivid Voltage, Secret Rare number 188. 2,265 of those cards in a PSA 10. So I will tell you, for that card to still hold a premium of $600, his number 2 on the list is probably not that bad, because I am shocked that that card is still holding strong at $600. Well, 500. Well, 455. Maybe I should keep scrolling down. 525. Okay, so I mean, I guess I'm giving him credit now because his number 2 only lost $300 in value, or $200 in value. Well, 890 to 600 is 290. I guess give a man credit where credit's due. You only missed your mark by like $300.
And these are really hard to come by. There is not very many PSA 10s out there in this particular card, so I think it will have a low pop as well. It does seem very difficult to grade. So
a low pop.
Those factors taken together,
he thinks it's going to have a low pop. I just showed the pop. 2,265 of that card is graded, and it's an easy grade when you look at the total population. It grades a 10 50% of the time, let's just call it. Maybe a little less than 50% of the time, that card's going to grade a 10, because nobody's pulling hyper rare Charizards and just throwing them around, put them in their back pocket at the playground. They're going right into penny sleeves, and this card saver one's going to PSA.
I have to give hyper rare Pikachu VMAX from Vivid Voltage the runner-up spot on this top 10 list of the best Pokemon cards to invest.
Runner-up.
All right, guys, we have made it to the number 1 spot on this list.
Finally.
Without further ado, the card that I am investing in above all else that has been released in the year 2020 is the staff pre-release Black Star promo Charizard Vivid Voltage. Now, if you guys
I made a video about this card a long time ago, and I talked about how those prices were ridiculous, and people in the comment section ripped me apart, because Pokemon had released a statement saying that they weren't going to do staff cards for like the foreseeable future, and everybody just lost their mind. And the fact that this Charizard was a pre-release card, you probably recognize it from like the build and battle boxes. This is not the build and battle box Charizard, is the staff one. So that is a very important thing to keep in mind. And because of, you know, the shutdowns and everything, there weren't tournament plays, so these cards did just stonk out. But there was a lot of these out. Well, a lot is subjective. There was enough of these cards out there to still be very dangerous.
Seeing the value on these particular cards out on the open market, it has really been astronomical. They have been going for about $3,500 to $4,000 in a PSA 10.
So they were selling for $3,800 to $4,000 in a PSA 10. What is that card currently doing? You can buy an entire complete set of that card in PSA 10. So all 4 of them for $5,000. People are asking $4,000. None of these cards are selling, though. That's the problem. $2,500 or best offer, but they're not. That's the thing. They're not selling. Like, this is a BGS 9.5, $1,600. You got to love the PSA 10 candidate, but I don't know. These cards, they don't sell. That's the thing. Like, people are still asking a lot of money for these cards. $2,500 is a lot of money, but they're just not selling. You know, $3,000, $4,000. But if you bought this card at $3,800 and somebody has a buy it now for, you know, $2,500, you would have lost on this card $1,300 if you took his number one best investment of 2020. You would have lost $1,500. And that is assuming you can sell it at this buy it now price, which people are not currently buying this card at. So you would have lost $1,300. Do you know if you gave me $1,300 right now, you know how many good cards I can buy with that 1,300? Like an absolute astonishing amount of product and cards that are out there. That is just so much money to lose on a card in a year's time.
And that's really because of the collectible aspect of this, having that staff logo print on the card itself. Even the other promo cards that were featured in the build and battle boxes, these have been going for good money as well. But by and large, this staff pre-release promo is really head and shoulders above the rest. Now,
it's head and shoulders above the rest. He says it with such conviction. It's oh my, I'm so sorry to everybody out there watching this. I should have added up all these cards, his prices versus what they're worth now and how much money you would have lost. But I mean, that card alone, you would have lost $1,300.
The reason that these have become so popular, one is because they're very rare. And one of the reasons that I am investing in this card is because of a recent notice by the Pokemon company issued to many stores, card shops out there that basically stated the following. Please note that staff promo cards have been discontinued.
Yeah, and everybody lost their mind.
Promo cards starting after the upcoming Pokemon expansion.
This was a crazy time in the hobby.
Essentially, Pokemon has
that's why I went from a net buyer in Pokemon historically to a net seller in 2020 because of stuff like this. And no, I did not have a staff Charizard, and I wish I did, but I didn't have the connections in order to get one. And I wish I was able to sell the number one on his list. But this was the irrational arguments of the hobby at the time. Pokemon sent out that press release, and everybody lost their goddamn minds.
With these staff release promos, and I believe it's in some ways for a good reason. They don't want to issue cards to hosts as more or less a thank you, and then turn around and see those cards out on the open market going for big money. Now, with that being said, I do have to give a caveat for this particular card.
We got a caveat.
One of the reasons that I really wanted to invest in it is because of the discontinuation of the staff pre-release promos. Now, just a few days after Pokemon issued this statement, they came back out and issued this. Due to the current situation surrounding the suspension of play Pokemon events, we are temporarily pausing the distribution of staff promos. We are constantly working to improve the play Pokemon program for our retail locations, organizers, players, and the Pokemon community, and many factors go into these decisions.
I remember when this was Pokemon news and everybody was losing their minds over these statements. It's crazy to think back on this.
Pokemon, even after issuing that initial statement, this one is a little bit more vague. So we don't really have a firm confirmation that these staff pre-release promos will in fact be discontinued. So I'm going to place a little asterisk on this
asterisk
spot.
Can you imagine making a top 10 list and your number one card, you're going to drop it at 15 minutes and 58 seconds in a 16 and 53 second long video? You're going to drop an asterisk on your number one and go, oh, hey, by the way, guys, this card could go down.
These cards, I think these are going to be quite valuable moving on into the future. I can see
quite valuable going into the future. Let's see how valuable does he believe these cards are going to get to.
These cards going for tens of thousands of dollars by the time they hit that 10-year time.
Tens of thousands of dollars. You hear that? You heard it here first. Tens of thousands of dollars for that card. If you bought that card, you are down $1,300. And now you got to keep in mind, if you didn't sell out of that card and you held on to that card, you are now down $1,300. And your money has been so stagnant now for a year's time. And you have to hold on to now the rest of this video for a couple of years, a 10-year timeline for that card to be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Do you know how hard it is for Pokemon cards to go to tens of thousands of dollars, let alone a modern card, staff promo or not?
Horizon. And so I think these are definitely cards that you should look to be getting now, and as long as they remain discontinued.
Hear that? These are cards he definitely thinks you should be getting now.
I think they're going to have an enormous value moving on into the future.
They did something enormously, but they didn't have value. They did something else.
So that is going to do it for today, fellow navigators. Hopefully you enjoyed this top 10 list. Let me know if you
I actually did not enjoy this top 10 list. I'm sorry.
Agree with it, if you disagree with it, and what your top 10 list of the best Pokemon cards from 2020 to invest in would be. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear your guys' opinion. Other than
I disagree. But now this is a crazy thing. When you scroll down and you read the comments, first of all, I was looking for any comments of any names that I recognize. And I don't see any names in here that I recognize. And these it has 124 comments on it. Like my videos get like 20 to 30 comments. And I don't recognize anybody. But people are talking about I love how straightforward, professional, and clear cut you are. Love the video, dudes. So insightful. Keep it up, man. Oh, wait, here we go. That Darkness Ablaze won't be going up anytime soon. Way too much in PSA pop report and easy to grade. Great comment by this guy. Let's give him the old like. Oh, God. Very good info, bro. Feeling really good about the polls this year on our channel now. I wonder how he's feeling about the polls now. Keep up the videos. Very helpful. Thank you. Oh, I kind of recognize Jedi Mind Trick. Great list. Have to disagree with you on your view on Darkness Ablaze. Awesome video. Thanks for the info. Oh, boy. You should add that Kanazawa Pikachu to the list. Talk about a dead card that Kanazawa Pikachu is. I want to say you could pick that card up raw for like $30 right now. Thank you for providing valuable info, bro. Let's see how he replied to that. Thank you for your support. See, this is the thing. I pulled the Rayquaza Amazing Rare. I love it. So that's the thing. Like people pull that card and they see the prices he quoted in the hundreds of dollars, and they just think they won the lotto and everything in Pokemon was just going to go up and everything was just this making money, you know. Jirachi PSA 10 is going for $400 plus currently. Oh boy. Can you imagine spending $400 for a Jirachi Amazing Rare PSA 10? And like, who are these people? I don't even recognize these names. Uh-oh. This looks very familiar. I swear, man, you have used psychological condition to have me like your videos. Every time I hear slap sound, I stop and I'm dying. Sometimes I have your videos in the background while working, and you go to your video to like it, even if I haven't been listening to it. Ha ha, too funny. Love the content. Oh, yep. Oh, God. Like, this is the thing. People are in the comments saying, I pulled the Charizard VMAX. Does anybody know what I should do with it? And it has no reply on it. Everyone should have said, sell that card at the $280 he listed it for at PSA 10. Send that card for great. Well, it would have been hard to send it for graded, but pray you get money for that card because it's going to drop 300, or 50% in value. Oh, this is the thing. I read the comments and I like tear up a little bit. All right. So that's the stuff I talk about. When I say be very careful about, Pokemon investment videos, top 10 videos, because in the now, at the time you're watching those videos, there's no way you can truly know what that card or what that sealed product or anything is going to truly do. And I've talked about it on this channel. And if you are not new to this channel, you know one thing I say all the time, that there's only one person in the history of this hobby who is undefeated, and that is Father Time. Father Time is and always will be undefeated when it comes to Pokemon, because time will always show what cards will really do. How much money will things make? And when you go back and you watch that video, almost every single card lost 50% in value. And if you add the dollar amounts into it, you're talking thousands of dollars if you were to have taken that advice at the time of that video. Now, that's the danger, right? That video literally has twice as many views as my top video has. I can't say with 100% certainty, because you can't talk in all 100% certainties, but I can say with a strong belief and strong conviction that there was probably somebody in that video, maybe didn't go out and buy all 10 of those cards, but definitely went out and probably bought one of those cards because they had watched that video and they saw it as being a top 10 investment for 2020. So when people just go all this time and say, like, you live in the now, everything is always super subjective. So just be mindful of this. And like, it's crazy. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to do this. This is the first time I've ever tried to do this reaction type video, and I did it live. So if anybody's watching this video after the fact, I want to do it live so the chat could be engaged. They can talk about it. And I think it's important. I wish I pre-recorded it because I would have done a lot of editing. I'm going to tell you right now, a piece of me died inside watching that video again and listening to it and trying to talk through and thinking about like just this hobby as a whole. I don't know. Yeah, I'm ranting now. But anyways, guys, I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. You guys are all great. I think this is a conversation that's important to have, and it's not a conversation we should just ignore or not have. But for every single one of you guys out there, I appreciate you tuning in. And I know this is a new style video. If you do like these reaction type videos, let me know down in the comments below. If for every person watching this video, if you could just do me a big favor and hit that like button, it really helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And I am trying to make content that you guys enjoy. And I'm not always trying to make content that you guys agree with. And I think that is something very important you should take out, that not all the content I make, you should agree with. If anything, you should disagree with some of the stuff I said. And if you disagree with the things I say, that is one of the best compliments any of you guys could give me. Because if you disagree with the things I say, that means that you are at least listening to what I say. And if I know that you are at least listening and making your own rational decisions, I cannot ask for anything more than that. So I appreciate every single one of you guys that have, you know, the same or opposing views as me. And if you have opposing views of me or anybody else out there, I promise you, you are at least doing that correctly. Other than that, guys, everybody have a good night, and I'll catch you on the next video.